Okay, we're recording. Hello everybody, welcome to our astrology chat today with Jo and Fontanna. Guys, give us a wave. Jo and Fontanna.
Oh.
And Amanda's there as well. So these guys have agreed to look at Amanda's birth chart because we've been talking over the last couple of weeks about how astrology and numerology can really help you to understand who you are, a bit about your past life, a bit about your soul's mission here, and the qualities of the personality, of the subconscious mind, where you might have challenges in your life, where may or may not be a dominant feature that you focus on. And so I know this looks complex to some of you at home probably watching this. However, we've got two amazing women here who can, in their own unique way, break down how to read a chart, or at least give you an opening door to what this is all about. So, and Amanda's going to be our guinea pig today. She's agreed to let us look. It's like looking into your energy field, though. It's quite a big thing to share, really. I must admit. So, Jo Fontanna, I don't know who wants to start. Can you share with us what we're looking at here, and how this relates to looking up at the sky, please?
I'm just going to shut my door because of the external noise. One sec.
No worries. That's your cue then, Jo, to start.
Yeah, absolutely relates. I mean, it really does. We've been going through what they're calling an awakening, and we're by the end of the year we're ascending into Aquarius, which is an air sign. So we're talking hundreds of years of being in an earth sign going into an air sign, and most recently we've been going through a massive intense purging with Mercury being in retrograde, and it's stationed direct a few days ago. And I don't know if anybody else can feel there's a shift in our sort of communication, and hence perhaps why we're starting to talk about astrology now. But yeah, I can't wait to dive into Amanda's chart, and because you're a Scorpio, right?
Yes, true and true.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to share, because you've got Mercury in your 7th house of relationships.
Okay.
So how have you found the last 3.5 weeks?
It's been very difficult, intense, very intense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Difficult in what way?
I think I've been learning about myself. I've been trying to find my true self and who I am and little bits of me. And yeah, me and my relationship with my husband's been disconnected for a while, because every time I grow, it sort of disconnects him as well. So the energy is different. So yeah, I have felt that the last couple of weeks we've been disconnected for a while.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, because you've got your Mars, which is very much your warrior, masculine, is in your 8th house, which is marriage, shared resources. So you've got your Mars in your 8th house there in Scorpio, and going through this time, and Mars is retrograde until next week, the end of next week. So perhaps you'll feel some lift there. And I would say that what you've been learning is very much about your dreams, your goals, not necessarily a reliance on the masculine, but more about your self-worth and your self-value, because that Jupiter, which is about your dreams, your beliefs, is in Taurus, which is more me versus we. If that's all right, it's inviting you. So that's what the energy's been looking at, is the retrograde of Mercury in Scorpio has been inviting you to look more at what gives you balance, what energizes you, what excites you on a personal level. Yeah. And it's been going backwards and forwards into Scorpio, back into Libra, which is again about self-love, self-care, self-value, what's important to you. So I'd invite you to journal and have a look at what's really been coming up for you and we're still going to feel the energy of Mercury retrograde for another couple of weeks. So really, what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself? And I believe that you wanting to do, or you do holistic health coaching, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. So very much Taurus and self-worth is very much about the body, the body's human needs, survival, touches, senses. So obviously that's where the oils just connect, I think. I feel with you, and you have quite a lot of planets in your relationship house. So I don't know how you find relationships. Do you find them easy or complex, or especially communication?
Yeah, communication, I find it has always been quite a hard thing with me, especially expressing my needs and what I want. And people miscommunicate with me, don't hear what I'm saying properly. I find that quite difficult. But I've been learning to work on that, so I have done a lot of work.
Yeah, I think what will help you is the spiritual transformation that you're going through and you're going to go through, because your Chiron is in your first house of self-image, a driver, and how you move your life forward. So Chiron's the wounded child, right? So as having had those kind of deep experiences, and especially as a Scorpio, you go really deep and intense, you can actually spiritually transform that and actually be the healer yourself. That's what I see, especially because your ascendant is in Pisces, which is an interesting connection there, Charlotte, isn't it? Because that's Neptunian energy. Do you find it quite easy to tune into a higher source?
Yeah.
She's very good at tuning into people.
Yeah.
Very grounded, but she's also got psychic abilities that come quite natural to her. So would that be the Pisces ascendant? Can you explain to people what ascendant it means, Jo? What does that mean?
It's almost like, call it like your choice point, and I hope Fontana can explain in any more detail because you're really good at that. I'm just very much an observer of say what I see and from the energy out there, but it's very much in effect your choice point that you decided to ascend onto the planet, and then where the planets are in the houses, that's like your screenshot of where they were at the time you ascended. You chose to come in. Is that right, Fontana? In effect, that's the way I say things in very basic, simple layman's terms. But that's your choice point. And the other thing I want to really share with you, Amanda, is your North Node, interestingly enough, is in your relationship house with your sun sign. Which is really interesting. And then your South Node, which is opposite that, again, is in this first house of self-image, how you see yourself, and then that has Chiron in it. So there will be perhaps self-confidence issues, parts that you don't necessarily like to see about yourself, but others will see it in you. Again, like Charlotte's just sort of said about you being really highly psychic, other people can see that in you before you can see it in yourself, because there's shadow, and your shadow is you've got Aries, which in effect the positive sign of an Aries is a wellness warrior, right? Yeah. Health, well-being, what's important, what's your values, what are your survival, what you're here to do, right? So that's really strong, and it's about you energizing your self-worth. We've got a new moon coming up in the 14th, 15th in Scorpio, so it'd be great to work together on energizing and expanding and what it is you want to do more of? What is it? You know, I found tuning into more of what you love will start bringing out and allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to do more of what you love and expand on that. And it will only be your beliefs that you can't, from your sort of learned behavior and your kind of chiron wounds, but you're here to overcome them, right, if you're a wellness warrior. So super exciting. And that's my overview. I'm not going to go much deeper. You've got just a lot of planets in your relationship house, but it is in Libra. So
perfect, right?
I would say that's about a lot of self-love, a lot of self-care, a lot of equality and balance, and mainly you communicating your needs and putting yourself first. I don't know if you find that easy.
No, I don't.
I know. I knew that.
It's my weakness.
Yeah, and yeah, it's deep. You're a wonderful, beautiful Scorpion. Energy is so much about others. However, the balance is that it's me versus we. So I don't know if Fontana wants to sort of drop in now, being a kindred spirit with being a Scorpion. But that's the way I see it, is about you learning to work with these archetypes, especially in your relationship house, because that's what you're kind of here to do, and that's your North Node. So really exciting about how to communicate and relate with others.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay, that was beautiful. I think that was really like a really good introduction overview for Amanda. I wanted to ask you before we move on to Fontana, like, when we're looking, because this can be quite overwhelming, not for you guys because you're used to looking at charts, but for people that haven't seen this, they're going to look at that picture and go, what the? And they have no idea what you're talking about. You know, this is going to be difficult. So I thought, can we just spend a few minutes like going through the chart? Maybe we should have done this at the beginning, but just explaining, not necessarily what every planet is. That's something for you to learn as you go, and I'm still learning all that. But first of all, in the middle you've got numbers, and those, does someone want to, Jo, do you want to just quickly
just again, because I talk in more layman's terms, you know, I'm definitely not an astrologer, and I only had my birth chart done because I was made redundant and I was despondent, and I just wanted to try and look ahead for my life cycle. So your birth chart's got 1 to 12 houses. That's the numbers in the middle, that's what they represent. And people can even go online and find out what those mean. And they're different, relating to different cycles and times in your life. And then the planets are positioned at your time of birth. So we do know Amanda's time, and that's where the planets are positioned in the different houses. And what happens is at different stages and ages, you go through different cycles and patterns. And it takes, I believe, 27 years to go, well, certainly for Saturn, to go all the way around the chart. And they do say, and I could be wrong, that once you get a balance of the bottom half of your chart, 1 to 6, and you find some sort of balance, then the top half seems to slot into place. That's what I've been told by an astrologer. So again, I don't know if Fontana wants to add anything onto that, but that's my understanding. But I keep it very bottom line, so I can just focus on my North Node. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's a really great, we'll definitely need to bring that into our chat about the North Node. And Fontana has enlightened me all about the importance of the North Node, so I can't wait to come to her in a second. So you've got these, just if you see the houses, 1 to 12, so they're things like your sense of self, your relationships, your like subconscious, money's in there, transformation, creativity, family, things like that. That's what they all mean. They sum up basically one's life and what's involved in those different sectors of life. And then you've got just going out a little bit, you see the moon at the top. That's one of the planets. So you've got the moon, you've got Venus, you've got
Uranus,
you've got Mars, the sun. And so going around, there's quite a lot of planets in one Is there a name for that? When you have loads of planets in one sector, in one house? There's a
They're
name.
conjunct.
Mm.
They're conjunct. Yeah, and your moon represents the mother.
Yeah, so they will have an association with different planets as well.
Yeah.
So then above that, just going to the outside, you've got symbols which you may recognise, guys, are the signs of the zodiac, up until like from Aries number 1 to Pisces 12. My question to you guys is, what are those green planet symbols on the outside?
So what I've done is I've gone onto a great little website that's free called astro.com, and I've just put in Amanda's details and her birth time, and then I've added in transiting planets that are coming up for the new moon. So I work with new moon, full moon cycles, because it's a case of what have I got present and what is potentially coming up, and where am I being triggered in my chart. So if I shared about Amanda in her relationship house, about it being in Libra, she's actually got Venus transiting that house. So that completely fits with her giving herself more self-love right now. Mm. So you're using the energy of the planet to enhance that area.
So it's good to know a bit about your own birth chart, your own like blueprint of your energy, of what you came into this life with, and then with that information, look at where the planets are now, which one's in retrograde, which ones are conjunct, and just Google, maybe not Google, DuckDuckGo, what they mean, those planets, what they mean when they're in retrograde, and what that means for us as in humanity, and then you can take it further and look. This is where I need to learn how to look at the transits now and how that's affecting your houses and your personal energy. Thank you, Jo. Now we'll go to Fontana, whose birthday is the same as Amanda's. Not exactly the same year, but you've got the same birthday. You just celebrated as Scorpio. So you guys are going to have this connection that's very special. You're going to really understand Amanda, aren't you, Fontana, in your own way. And I'd love to hear from you because you've only just seen Amanda's birth chart. And usually you said to me, I like to, study someone's birth chart and then do a full evaluation, look at the energy blueprints. You've worked with me on my wounds from past life, which has helped me so much to uncover my deep fears. And also like what I'm here to do. So over to you now, darling, whatever you want to share, whatever's coming through organically. Way to go.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Jo, for that wealth of knowledge. It's so valuable, I think, to have those overviews. A couple things, I guess, to add on to what's already been said. So those numbers round are the areas of our life. And what's the other thing I want to say? Oh, yeah. So when you have a few planets in one of those houses, it's called a stellium.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool.
And what it means when you have a stellium, it is useful to know if you get your chart done and see if you have a number 3 or more of planets in that house. And then that stellium actually highlights, this is where we go, the deep stuff. It highlights, and we're so juicy with that, aren't we, Amanda?
Yeah, we're used to that.
So it highlights where your soul has got the most amount of transformation to do in that specific area of your life. Mm-hmm. So whatever that house represents for you, so be it your case the 7th house, it will be where your soul is really ready now, especially coming in. So I'm going to mix a bit of the numerology and the astrology just to preface before I start going into the channeling. I know I need to have a bit of a structure. This is just how it comes through for me, because they just work so in sync, the astrology and the numerology. So with yourself, how it looks like is, so your area of relationships, partnerships, 7th house, is really what you've been trying so hard, your soul, in those lifetimes to master. But it's just, there are so many factors in our chart that can give us those signs as to what those challenges are within us, what still needs to transform in our psyche, what lessons we haven't fully learned yet, and that's all that the process of us evolving through each lifetime. So with your 7th house stellium, you're really wanting to look at how it is that you can be, from your numerology, what I'm picking up, as a life path 6, which is, are we all life path 6 here? I was pretty sure we are. So it's so perfect. When I realised that at the beginning, I was like, oh, that's perfect. It's this little vortex right now.
What is life path 6? Can you share what for everyone so we know?
Yeah, so life path 6 is literally the nurturer. So there's like a few archetypes that falls into life path 6. So you can be called the parent, the trainer, the healer. Essentially, it's all coming down to an essence of nurturing through whatever those, more mainstream roles are. You don't really have an occupation of nurturer. So we kind of look at those other roles, but the energy that wants to flow through those roles is nurturing. So when you're working with the 6 energy, yours is a 1 and a 5 that makes the 6. So obviously in your own time, like Jo's advised, to look up a couple of things that are going to support you with that. And I'm not sure if he was on the call, but there's this book, it's outside, I was reading it this morning, and it's really good, and it breaks down what those numbers really mean in all areas of your life, how that is going to work for you and support you. So, and it's very practical. It actually hits from all levels, so it's really powerful. But for the 6, so I'm getting really excited because I'm looking at these universal laws, and I'm understanding from, as a 6, how important it is for us to understand how we are governed by the universal laws. So with your chart, if we stay with what seems to be the most significant in terms of what your soul wants to really hone in on in this life, in your relationships, how that would look like, in my interpretation, is really embodying what this 6 as a life path, so it's not an overnight path through your life, is looking to embrace. And the main significance with it is changing from this external tendency to want to fix, want to heal, want to meddle with other people in their healing journey before we have fully learned and embodied those specific things ourselves. Specifically, how to nurture and how to love unconditionally. So with the 6, it's really representing divine love, because when you look at the symbol, it's very much representing, if you think of how the 6 looks, the mother with the baby when she's pregnant. So you're looking at how you normally would nurture a life inside of you, what that looks like to you on a daily basis, what that baby that's growing within you needs. And it's very metaphorical. In real terms, what that looks like is being in tune in here and using this space to find your vision. And once you've found it in here, you use your Pisces ascendant to get very visual, to utilize those visionary skills that you have so naturally, but you infuse it with the feelings, because that's your gift. That's what you're bringing here. And then in terms of your relationships, what we're all doing as a 6 is being the example. So the one biggest thing that actually this book has taught me is, in every day, you've got to start easy, got to start simple. Just every day, not every moment, but every day, as much as we can, is to ask ourselves, is this choice that I'm making a good example for others? And then it shifts that way that we're normally trying to fix and help and meddle with other people's healing journey with our good intentions. Let's be compassionate, but it's just that our soul really wants it the other way around, because it's wise and it knows people learn more from example, not from yabba 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 advice and all these kind of conventional ways that we're normally trying to help. And we know this because of the child, you know, like when we birth our child, we know it copies us, and we know it doesn't listen to what we say, it listens to what we do, and it follows. And I'm sure you found out with your own children. We all have our own children. And honestly, it's so powerful I've literally been doing this so much more consciously this week, and it is pretty funny, is that it comes to a point of humor, because you see how the universal laws play out when you're intending to work with them, and they're there straight away when you're choosing to nurture your care, which is the 6's priority: health, mind, body, spirit, health. That's the 6. We know this because when we're pregnant, we have to take extra care of our health. As a soul, that is really what we're showing up here as, is that we're pregnant with this vision. We are the visionaries, especially when we have other parts in our chart that are like supporting that. So I would have to look deeper into your chart to show you exactly in what area it is that your visions get manifest and that sort of thing. But essentially, first and foremost, it's just for you to come back to you. And then what you will find is your partner, your son, your friends, they will be like, and they probably are already, because you're already in your 40s, so you're already going to be embodying a lot of these aspects. Like people will come to your house and they'll be inspired by something that you do that they don't do, because you're a 6 and they're not. And that's what the gift that we bring, that example and the inspiration through our own living, not through our words, through our own sharing of our own stories, of our own learnings, but not in a way where we're trying to control, Scorpio, power struggle, because really we're feeling, we're hiding those insecurities, them inadequacies, those really deep, intense things that we've brought in, that we're looking to release and transform, like Jo said, the transformation process. So that in essence is the 6. There's 4 laws of the universe. Our 6s are just going to apparently literally have complete quantum shifts when we work with them. And it's I've got it on my whiteboard right now, it's perfection. So what you were saying earlier about, you know, perfection and all these things, yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, by the
flexibility.
way, you, Fontana and Jo and me are all Virgo ascendants.
Yeah.
Aren't we? So
divine love again.
And there's a mirror with Amanda being a Piscean ascendant.
Yes.
Perfect.
I feel like I've known you for so long, Amanda, and I feel deeply connected with you, but I feel just closer to you now. Maybe because I'm Pisces sun and I'm like, oh, she's like my sister.
That's why we connect so well.
We do have this connection. I didn't understand why. We appear so different, but there is this unconscious sort of the purity of who you really are. Similar.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hannah, go back to what you were saying about the second law. The first one was perfection. And the second...
Yeah, so you've got perfection, you've got flexibility, and that's really about the way that we choose to see life in new ways, not our old programs, as they really are. Zooming out from our own little tiny ego perspective. And yeah, this book really shares about that as well. Intuition, obs, especially with you, Pisces stuff, and process. Oh my goodness, process. So I feel like maybe process for you could be somewhat a strength already, where you've got the Virgo South Node. Oh no, sorry. What have you got? Virgo descendant It's like, if you have this Virgo there already on the default, you already understand that there's this sense of structure that is needed. And I know you have that, because actually I do know you already. So that is like a really kind of good head start for you, because with the sixes, if you think about, again, the womb is like, we need that boundary to nurture. We need that form for us to nurture our vision, that growth. And so the law of process really invites us to look at any goal that we're looking to achieve. To us, very feminine-like people and creatures, it's very masculine because of the invitation we get in mainstream marketing of, you know, do this, follow this step. But that is actually the balance. That's the law of balance. Like, we need that step by step, slow and steady, very Taurusy, very grounded, very focused approach, so that we can come to the end of the 9 months or whatever it may be for that process to reach full term and manifest the goal, to happen with more ease and grace and less frustration and resistance and pain. And so I'm learning that that is something that a lot of us, because of the examples that we have, it's not ingrained in us. We need to learn it, especially if you come from dysfunctional families and, you know, lack of guidance and the lack of modeling. Then that again is why I believe this process of coming in and really connecting to what it is we need, like Jo said, being very vocal as women about what it is that we need for ourselves with our partners, in a, I want to say, in a really grounded way, in a way where there's no hidden motives, there's none of that Scorpio hidden agenda stuff, manipulation, none of that stuff. We have to let that go now. We have to appreciate that that stuff came from fear, and we have acceptance. We have that law of, which one is this one for this? It's going to be perfection. It really talks about acceptance of the law of perfection, that every response that we have is perfect as a human, and there's something higher playing out for us, and it's just our job as sixes to really get connected with what it is that wants to play out in us, for us, because then everyone else who we want to serve from our ego's perspective will be served, because we're honoring what it is that our soul knows is in our highest good and in the highest good of all anyway. And that's the shift. So that's really like the main paradigm shift that in a life path 6 we're learning to take, and not be the martyrs anymore, not be the sacrifices of our own needs.
Amazing.
Interesting.
Can I just add one thing that came to mind? 2020 is very much about working, so for all of us to work in a step-by-step process, because it's a 4 energy, and that is stability, finding inner stability, and that's the whole point. Then that is a blessing. We can use lockdown to go within. And collectively, we're working with Sagittarius and Gemini polarity on our beliefs and actually how we communicate. And that would be exactly what Fontana says, is once you really know the value, and I'd love to be able to get this work out to people more, the value of our self-expression, we can talk to the universe. And we've been afraid because we've been told we can't, you know, we haven't been shown that we can do that. But like me commanding to the universe things that I really, really, really want, and they're starting to materialize, is like, wow, this stuff actually works. And I'm just so grateful for you for that share, Fontana, because again, we look at it in different ways. You know, my sixth energy is very much, I see it as vision and acceptance and self-expression through sensitivity, and learning it myself and then learning it for others. And then that comes in line with what you said about being a caring, nurturing person, because I'm actually about people, not about money. But then, of course, we need to stop being the martyr and actually receive our value and our worth. So I really, really, really got a lot from that. Really did. Really wonderful. Thank you.
I want to pick up on something just, and then Charlotte, you can take the reins from there. When you're talking about expression, I feel, because I know me and Charlotte both have our Chiron in Gemini, so the communication with us can be such a journey, and especially as a suppressed feminine, you know, especially when you're a Scorpio and you think so deep, and it can take you into your head because you don't want to feel all those really intense emotions, and then you just never end up saying what you actually really feel, and then you carry the resentment.
Right.
I think this is such an important message for us to really get out there for women, that we carry the resentment when we don't express our feelings.
No.
And that is toxic, and that makes us sick, and that holds us back in our soul's growth for all of those juicy, beautiful experiences that are there for us when we allow ourselves to surrender, to be human, to be our feminine energy in its fullest, as the divine mothers, as the divine feminine. Because as you said, Jo, at the beginning, it is the rise of the feminine now. It is the Aquarius age.
Yeah.
It's about honesty, complete, direct, very Aquarian, universal, sharing the commonality that we have as human beings, as feeling beings, right?
Yeah.
So it's really important that we have that.
Yeah. And I'm really feeling blessed and valued your information, because my my North Node is in Scorpio, and it's in my house of communication, and my career house is in Gemini. So to be honest, I've always thought people think I'm a bit blunt, but actually it's my strength. But because I set boundaries, I know how to do the boundary thing, because I've learned a lot in my relationship house with Pisces and Neptune. So I'm like, wow, you know, Scorpio communication, Gemini career, and then I'm an Aquarian. So I just feel so in my heart at the moment that I want to support others on this journey, but then I do give my power away, and that's my learning lesson. So
just rounding this up now, for Amanda, I want you to guys come back to Amanda's chart, and I want you both to just zoom in on this, and I want you to share one thing that you'd like to share with Amanda. Obviously, this was just a very short overview, and we didn't go into depth with Amanda, but we can do this more. This was just to give us a, you know, share this with the world, really. It's interesting. So what is, if you're looking at her chart, what is the one thing that's standing out to you, which you feel you want to communicate to Amanda about herself, which might, if you haven't talked about the moon represents our emotions, the way that we process, and mine is in Taurus, so I feel emotions in my body, Taurus being all about the physical body, and that I can ground and process emotions. I've learned to do that, so that might be worth talking about. We haven't talked about Jupiter yet, which is obviously Jupiter in Aries. No, Jupiter's in Taurus.
Yeah,
so
talked about that. What I'd say, because we're working with Sagittarius on beliefs and Gemini in communication, so I invite you over the next, I think it's perhaps another year, 18 months, is to really look very closely at your critical self-talk, how you communicate to yourself, and because you've got Venus in your 9th house, certainly about your beliefs and self-belief, and really get into the self-love, because that will really serve you well in the work that you do, that you really believe in yourself. Because of this self-image in your Chiron, I'd really work with the belief of Sagittarian energy and Venus. More self-belief in your gifts, because of Neptune in there as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay.
Thank
That was
you.
beautiful, Jo. Fontana, do you want to? Is there anything that you else want to add?
Yeah.
North Node.
I was just going to pick up on that, actually, to be honest with you, because you have the same as Jarlini. So, and I just did her reading, so I could kind of echo a bit of what I was sharing with her. So the way it looks like for you is because you've come from, I'm sure, I don't know if, well, I say I'm sure, I don't know if you know so much of your past life in Taurus. Have you explored a little bit?
Not really, no.
Okay, so in your past life in Taurus, you already had like that wealth and all the things that the second house Taurus is representing. So in this life, it wasn't really your soul's main priority to bother, like most people are, with, you know, the money side of it. That was really what held you back, actually, in your soul's journey so far. So what I feel to share with you the most is the same thing that I shared with Yarlini. Where you come in as a Scorpio and you've got a Scorpio North Node and you've got a stellium right next to Scorpio is really significant with all the things that you do know about Scorpio, and that just in and of itself, that you really, more than maybe others because of your positionings, really hone in on developing that vulnerability, really hone in on connecting with the emotional expression, like Jo said. So obviously, you know, the things that we've already said are going to be emphasized because it's really what your soul wants you to hear the most. Is like that remembering of its intention in this life is why you choose the North Node. And to, you know, to balance that out, in fairness, because that's my my Venus in 7th house is always about balancing out everything, and so I really want to share like this invitation of compassion that most people will literally take lifetimes to embody their North Node. It's not easy. So the fact that you already have the information, the awareness, the intention is like you have a bloody good chance of it, right? If you really are consciously, deliberately looking at it, use your Scorpio sun skills of being the detective, being the researcher, to give yourself, let spirit and your intuition and all them other elements of you give you those awarenesses that is there within the resources that you have, because it's all there. There's nothing hidden. It's not what we think. It's not any more Scorpio stuff. There's nothing hidden. It's all there for us. We just got to allow it and just take our time, especially with all the time we've got in lockdown, to go in and to make it count for us. Like Charlotte said, the North Node, more than anything, you will get the most downloads. You will have the most transformations. You will feel the most fulfillment by looking at what that looks like for you.
Thank you. It's
Wow.
amazing.
God, I'm blown away.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh,
Ladies.
you guys
Amazing.
have so much wisdom, like, and you're both so uniquely different in the way that you express yourself and the way your mind works, but both equally as powerful and helpful. So helpful. This is going to really inspire others who watch. I'm sure of it. I've been talking about astrology the last couple of weeks, and people are, oh, what's that about? And that is, you know, and for me, astrology is all about connecting oneness with the universe. Like, we've been hearing this unity consciousness phrase, right? Which I get that. I'm working towards that, accepting other people, not having judgment for their beliefs, and like just being loving, really, unconditionally. But knowing that we look up at the stars and the planets and we are working with them, not in resistance, because we have acknowledged their existence and the effect that their energies individually have on us brings a whole new level to unity consciousness for me, brings a whole greater awareness. I don't know if that resonates, but I really feel blessed to be interested in this and to know you guys. So thank you for being so open and sharing, Amanda, and letting us do your, hope you got a lot out of that. And thank you, Jo,
Yes.
thank you, Fontana, for your expertise. And maybe, just maybe, we'll do this again next week.
Excellent.
We'll see, we'll flow with it. We'll see
Yes,
where we
see
end
who
up.
wants to come and join us.
Yeah. Thank you
Thanks,
guys
girls.
so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.